and welcome or welcome back. My name is V, and today I would like to talk about something that you might have already seen on the channel if you've been around here for a little bit. And if you haven't, do make sure to click on that sub button and let me know in the comments if you've ever seen a Final Fantasy XIV speedrun, especially the Realm Reborn, and this is something that I would like to talk about today. So, a couple of weeks ago, Neon Genesis and myself decided to do the impossible and speedrun through Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn. As it's such a massive feat, I decided to make a video and discuss kind of how we got to this idea, what we went through to make it happen, and how I feel about doing it at all. Some people said that it was impossible, and I think that's part of the reason why we decided to make this video and do this speedrun in the first place. FF14 is just a game that's connected us both in a way. He's been playing it probably since the early days of Realm Reborn, and I've been playing since I guess Shadowbringers or something like that. And with Dawn Trail and pretty much everything that's been going on with the game recently, I think we both just kind of missed Realm Reborn and wanted to see how fast we could get through the game. Now, missing a game doesn't mean that you should go and speedrun it, because obviously you're not going to get to see the cutscenes and pretty much everything else in the game, but as we both speedrun our separate games, this was something that we could do together, and there are very few speedruns out there that can be done in such a way. So what we did is we decided to speedrun in the category called co-op. So we went as a duo. I went as a paladin and he went as a white mage. Now, when I say that, that is just a little questionable, I suppose, and I will explain why. This run's world record is a little over 13 hours, if I'm not wrong, and for our very first Realm Reborn speedrun, it took us a little more than 19 hours in one sitting. Now, we were probably crazy for not, stopping with the run and, turning it into a segmented run or something like that, but we decided to kind of, push through it and see if we can finish it in one sitting. At great cost, we did. The first thing that I can say is that we were very unprepared when it comes to how long the run will be, and we probably should have had more easy to make food and drinks, which we did have, but I don't think we ended up eating a lot of it. Part of the reason is because even though we knew that we would be skipping the cutscenes, there was just no breaks, and I know that sounds crazy for a run that is more than 19 hours, but there was literally one or two breaks that I can recall, one of them being during Praetorium and during the Ultima Weapon fight, where we just kind of, sat there during the monologue, but that break, just because it was like the only break that we had, caught us off guard to the point that we just sat there. And I remember during that part of the run, I just sat there and I felt like I was gonna cry. I'm not kidding. It wasn't like the whole run wasn't a bad experience at all. It was fun, but I don't think I've ever experienced that level of exhaustion. And I birthed a child, so I know what exhaustion is, but at the same time, going through that run was just at some point it became very motivating to go through the run just so that we can see it done. It was a lot of fun. Neon actually put a lot of effort into custom notes. We had some notes from the Final Fantasy XIV speedrun Discord. Yes, there is one, and people do speedrun this game. And basically he reworked these notes for the White Mage route and for the Paladin route, where we started doing the early job quests in Ul'dah and in Gridania, and at some point we met in the in the MSQ and then continued on questing together. Now, the beginning of the run for me was very weird because I at that point hadn't played FF14 in a little bit, and I think my muscle memory was a little faulty, so I ended up taking more time than I should at the beginning of the run because I needed to build a muscle memory for, you know, turn in quests, skip cutscene, do this, do that, teleport, which I eventually did, and I feel like I've gotten myself into the rhythm. But if I have to honestly answer whether or not I enjoyed the full run, it wasn't as fun as my other speedruns. Because most of the run revolved around dungeons, which were probably the most fun part of the run in my opinion, skipping cutscenes, which was just this very automatic thing, and I ended up just looking at this black screen for a very long amount of time when we combine all the cutscenes that we had to skip together. And also going from one place to another, turning in the quest, looking at the map, looking at where the next quest is. All of these things took a lot of time, and I didn't find as much enjoyment in it as I would in some other speedruns. The music, however, was great. I really enjoyed going through all the old zones, hearing the combat music, the raid and the dungeon music. That part was really, really fun. There are some flaws that I think this category, as a speedrunning category, has, and I wanted to talk about them in a very objective way, meaning no offense to anyone, but one of the reasons why I wanted to do the run in the first place was so that I can experience the good and the bad. So one of the first things is the fact that you are discouraged from playing the game properly, and this is something that ends up affecting the people who you play with. Now, if it was just myself and Neon, or God forbid if we had two other people to run with us and queue dungeons immediately, this wouldn't have been a problem for most of the game, except for when we reach the trials. So when you reach the trials, because you're encouraged to get done with the job quest as soon as possible, you don't push to get the job stone. And this was so embarrassing. I honestly don't know if I could speedrun A Realm Reborn anymore, as when you do speedrun the other expansions, obviously you prep your character and you get the job stone beforehand, but The Realm Reborn was just such an embarrassing experience because even in the dungeons, Neon, who was supposed to be a white mage, was a conjurer and I was a gladiator, and we were frowned upon. People would message us in the chat and say, hey, you should do your job quests, and at that point you don't know what to say. Do you say, hey, I'm speedrunning the game or whatever? Is it unethical to admit that you're speedrunning through the game and that you want to get there as fast as possible? I don't know. Some speedrunners, when they create their custom characters for speedrunning, which have to start from the very beginning, sometimes they will put speedrunner in their name, which I think is a double-edged sword for multiple reasons. One reason being the fact that you're letting people know that you're speedrunning, and people can have different opinions about that. You can have a really good experience. For example, let's say you're a healer or you're a DPS and someone discovers that you're a speedrunner and thinks that's really cool. So what they do is, they just rush through the dungeon as soon as possible. You get a very, very fast dungeon because obviously you have to queue for some dungeons during the MSQ, so it's not like a solo playthrough. However, some people might already have experience with speedrunners, or some people might be against people speedrunning an MMORPG in general. So you might end up having a tank or a healer or someone who decides to explore every single corner of the dungeon. And since this is such a long run, it can easily cause you to lose a bunch of time. Also, you're relying on people who you don't know, who might just be new to the game, to go as fast as possible. And I feel like this causes a lot of of frustration for the speedrunner as well. And I feel like it breeds this a little bit of toxic negative attitude towards the game and how it's played when a new person is playing, because sprouts don't owe it to anyone to go fast. If you have a sprout tank, they are just who they are, and they didn't ask to be a part of your speedrun. They had nothing to do with it. They just queued the dungeon, and you as a speedrunner should have no right whatsoever to comment on their skill if they're, you know, obviously if they're new and if they just are going through the dungeon for the first time or whatever. Even if they're not, you shouldn't be commenting on their skill, and you are the one who is accepting the responsibility of speedrunning the game and having someone in your party who is less skilled than yourself, unless you're going in as a party of 4 and then all 4 of you are speedrunning through dungeons. Trials, again, is a similar story. You can have a party of 4, but then you have to queue with other 4 people, which you don't know how it's going to go. You may wipe, a person might DC, or someone might leave the party, or something might happen that is eventually going to lose you time. So it's like, it feels like having this dirty little secret as you're going through the game. It's enjoyable, like it's enjoyable for yourself, but when you are in a situation where you have to debate whether or not you're going to say something, when people tag you in a raid, and do mine for the Realm Reborn speedrun, you have to go through the whole Crystal Tower raids. It's really embarrassing at that point at level 50 to not have a job quest at all, the job stone that is, and for people to comment on your performance publicly in a chat and say, oh, so you have a, I don't know, one alliance group was commenting on ours and said, oh, you have a gladiator in the chat and not a paladin or whatever. It was so embarrassing. Like, I literally physically put my head down like this, and I was like, are we gonna get kicked out of the group now? It's like, it feels like such a risky and weird thing to do, and I'm not fully proud of it, obviously, because that's never how I would choose to play a game. So some people saw the sprout, because people, obviously you make a new character, people assume that you're a sprout, and some people said, oh, maybe they just don't know, it's fine, because obviously in the party there was a conjurer and there was a gladiator, so people thought that we just didn't know. Some people say, oh, just let them be. Some people enjoy a challenge. There were different opinions, but the bottom line is no one talked to us directly. People just addressed us as people who are there but never spoke to us. I felt in a way unworthy of being spoken to, and that was the hurtful part of the run, because I just wanted to, you know, do something for me and for us, but I felt like along the way we ended up affecting other people, and that didn't feel as good. So I feel like if there was such a thing as a, I don't know, as a co-op category, and it doesn't even have to be co-op, I feel like a constructive feedback for the FF14 speedruns would be to have a mandatory job stone. I feel like that would get rid of, you know, embarrassment. You would get more experience, you would probably get a few spells along the way that are helpful, and you would simply blend in. Like, there's nothing that reveals you as a speedrunner in a dungeon, if you don't want to be revealed or whatever, apart from the job stone. Now, this creates a big problem for anyone who's already submitted the run, gotten, I don't know, world record or whatever, but I feel like it would be morally and ethically correct to do, to just, you know, get the job stone, get this over with. And Neon shares my opinion as well. This is something that we discussed off stream as well, and he felt awful about just kind of being observed, being looked at, and he, even more so than me, is a player who really likes to do everything right, do the correct rotation, have you know, really good damage. He mains a samurai, so obviously that's an important thing. I just feel like we did something that wasn't completely right, and I'm not proud of it. but I still would like to repeat the experience while not being so observed and looked at because of something that we did or didn't do. So that's pretty much how I feel about it. There are some wonderful things about it. We just got to, hang out, basically sit there for 18, 19 hours, achieve something really big, and show to our communities that this is something that we are capable of doing, which I thought was great. We got to see all these fights that we haven't seen in ages. The music was great. The dungeons were fun. Everything was great, and if anything, it made me feel like I want to restart the game and make a new character and go through the game from the very beginning, through the Realm Reborn, and just experience the game very slowly for what it is. It just feels like the right thing to do. Because we were speedrunning and all I wanted to do was to see the cutscene that I was skipping, so it made me realize that I actually just want to play the game. So that's a good thing, and that's a positive experience. I just wanted to kind of talk about this and not offend anyone, of course, and not talk shit about the run that I just did or about the FF14 speedrunning community. I think they're great people, but at the same time, I think that this has a lot of room for improvement, and I feel like at the cost of maybe reworking a leaderboard or something, there would be some breaks added just so that people can, I don't know, put things in the microwave or something. People would argue that you can sit on a chocobo porter and go around, but sometimes the dungeon queues are fast, sometimes there's something to do, and you just don't get this time. So I feel like overall the run is a little bit unhealthy. But we made it, we did it, and I would like to do a speedrun of something that feels less challenging. For example, to use this character who is now on the brink of Heavensward to maybe try a Heavensward speedrun, a Shadowbringer speedrun and whatnot. What's really good about these expansion speedruns is that you have to get the, well, you don't have to, but it's good to get the jobs done so you can prepare your character, not over level it or anything, like not go above and beyond, but just have it ready for an expansion. Also from the discussion with the FF14 community, who speedruns, the rules on what you can do with your character and how to bring it into the next expansion, they are still very vague. So some of the rules that were being said to us, even by the moderators on speedrun.com, is like, okay, so you can do these things, but don't overdo them. So saying that, something shouldn't be overdone is very vague and can be interpreted in many different ways. So I feel like if one was to speedrun this game, there would have to be more strict rules. Also, there is debate on whether the game should include the real time or load remove time. Load remove time means that the timer on the speedrun splits stops every time your screen is loading, so that doesn't count towards your actual time. And that also means that you would have to use some sort of third-party software to essentially track information from your game and basically quietly do that in the background. So this is something that people don't talk about, but since there is a controversy currently around the mods and third-party tools, this is something that is worth mentioning. Do we encourage this as a community? Do we not encourage it? There are many things to consider it. At the time, we are not doing it because it wasn't something that we wanted to do. We just wanted to go through the run and just have fun with it, which is what we did, but it is a point of conversation that I think should be made. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments. If you want, you can check out the speedrun links. I will put them in the description and in the pinned comment as well if you want to see the full experience. If we decide to do another speedrun, especially Heavensward, maybe Stormblood, Shadowbringers, whatever else, we will let you know, and I will make sure to post it on the YouTube community tab. In the meantime, feel free to join our Discord as well, where you can stay updated on all these things. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. Do subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Like, leave a comment, let me know what you think about these speed runs, these long, very super long runs, and if you like the idea of it, if you have some constructive feedback, let us know. Thank you so much, take care, have a lovely day, and bye bye.